Okay, so I wanted to do a comprehensive video on how to develop functional strength. So this is how to do the actual training that you can consciously do. Um, on this, you'll be limited by your diet and your hormones and your age, because all that is kind of like all that kind of determines the size of the pool that you're in a way. So it determines like what you have to work with. But in terms of what to do with what to have to work with, just going to go through this video. So for just raw strength or whatever, light dumbbells are like pretty cool. If you really want to get big and powerful, yeah, you do need to scale this up to heavier weights. I don't know how to develop the mental intensity. So with weights, if you don't have weights, all you're trying to do is develop the mental intensity, and the focus, and the weight helps you fire all the muscles. So 15 or 30 pounds is like plenty to help you realign your structure and get the whole thing submerged, like to get you're basically trying to get centered in your muscles. That's what physical training is that you're trying to get, under all circumstances, under all weights, to find your muscular suit and to get centered in it. So this thing where people target muscles and do bodybuilding and stuff like that, it's anti-functional training. There's absolutely no reason to ever target a body part. You should, like, if a body part if there's something wrong, right? Like if there's something small, if there's something not active, the way that you get it to work is that when you're doing the exercises, you are focusing on the part that's weak and trying to get it to integrate into the entire suit. So the mentality should be, oh, there, the whole thing turned on, and my whole thing needs to not be lacking, like, oh, my glutes are weak, or oh, maybe my teres minor is weak. You don't target the muscle, you target the whole suit, and you make the whole suit use the muscle that you feel is weak. Because anytime you're moving, you're obviously using the entire muscular suit. Like, it doesn't, like, this is not a leg exercise, right? The whole suit has to activate. So a big reason why fitness and stuff like that becomes difficult for people is the using things that don't exist, right? So your leg day doesn't exist, arm day doesn't exist. That mentality is 100% insane, and it causes the body to become disfigured. And so you disfigure the legs to become bigger, you disfigure the parts to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's bodybuilding. It's kind of, if you're into it, whatever. It just takes up a lot of time, and so you have to be doing the time bodybuilding, and then you have to be doing the time doing the integration stuff and all that. And then it's like, if you have time for it and you want to be a little bigger, great. The bodybuilder load days, the patterns, all that stuff works in terms of getting the muscles to swell into hypertrophy. But it takes up a lot. Yeah, it takes up a lot of actual physical time lifting in terms of what you're focusing on, and it also takes up a ton of recovery time. So I'm personally not into it, but whatever. So I guess I'm skinny. So, you pick up the weights, and you can start doing something like a curl. But what you're wanting to do is, for here, it's okay, how do my back you want your whole, feel the whole suit, everything, chest, neck, whatever, and feel how it has to. You want it to be doing the whole thing. Yeah, you'll get some arm stuff if you're doing this, but how do I get the whole suit. And you'll find you'll run into these Olympic lifts, and it's so before you exercise with the weights, like heavy, you want to go through the whole thing on something like a deadlift and make sure the whole suit's going. So it's like have your awareness and your consciousness be on every muscle, and then you can go from the ground up, like sort of knees over toes style, and make sure that like the toes are tractioning into the, like literally the muscularity in your neck, your arms, like everything, like is the mechanical wholeness intact going all the way down to the toes. And you can just kind of spot check up of like, oh, how do I integrate my calves? And in terms of healing yourself, you're trying to pump blood into your muscles. And that pumping of the blood into the muscles increases the blood pressure. It increases the fluidic pressure, and so the water penetrates, permeates, hydrates, and opens all the parts of the body down to the cellular level. So ultimately, when you're working out, if you're doing Qigong or if you're doing inner health stuff, the goal of weights is that pressurization of the muscles. And so the heart has to beat faster to get the water pressure higher. And that's what keeps you sort of vitalized. And you'll notice that as you do this, each flex or whatever is you're trying to run the muscularity into your consciousness, right? And so how does consciousness and muscle, what's the experience of pushing the water into the muscles? The experience of that is flexation. So you go, oh, how do I push water into the muscles? It's the same, whatever you do to flex and to exercise a muscle, there it is. So when you do that all at once, if you try and get the water to evenly go into all the muscles all at once, you can't press into them very hard. You can press into them at kind of your cardio limit. I mean, you can't press into it very hard, but if you do press into the muscles hard all at once, the power output's crazy. So you need to have something to ground it into, or your movement can eat it up. So if I'm using the muscles, if I'm using every muscle at once, so I'll push the water into the muscles, the movement patterns, like it causes the space around you has to move quite a lot. So you need to to use everything all at once, you're gonna have to pick up something super heavy, or you're gonna have to start moving at a pretty good pace. So to hit everything all at once, to use the suit, like this is probably the most low-key thing I can think of doing. And each impulse gives me a chance to try and adding some weights or whatever does make this type of focus, and it makes this type of attention a little bit easier. And And so if I'm pushing the water into my muscles, right, which fundamentally I do by moving passively, as I move into my awareness, it pushes the water into my muscles. And then I notice, where am I pushing the water into my muscles from? The heart. So on the inside right now, I'm connecting my heart to the muscular exertion. This happens automatically if you just go out and get at it. Like if you go run until your heart rate's up, once your heart rate is up, this connection that I'm talking about happens. But you can get it to happen consciously and defend it during the exercise or during the day, of like the heart being connected into the muscular suit, because the muscles are the will in the body. So like exercising in the morning, whatever, what you're doing is like, okay, how do I move in this 3D world? You use that muscular effort. That muscular effort is genuinely, as you move through consciousness, imagine I'm underwater, right? But I'm in my consciousness. So I can move off of my consciousness the exact same way as I move underwater. And as I move into it, as I move through it, as I move my muscles through it, there's a, that's the expression of will. Because you can control like the if you do that hard enough, like especially during a workout, like you need to figure, like enlightenment is probably figuring out how to sense this when nothing is going on. But if you increase the activity enough, the heart, you feel how the heart is what's doing the activity. Like right now, this thing is being accomplished by my heart. And so once that load is increased, like, oh, do 100 squats, do 3 sets of 10 squats, the connection between the heart and the muscles becomes obvious. Moving from that connection is health, is where you're warmed up. It is that's where you're going for warm up. So any sport, right, it's all find the muscle suit, and then you get whatever your load, 5s, and just do exercises and figure out how to use the whole thing consciously. Toes to fingertips. And you'll find that it puts you in correct form, whether or not you're doing like a strict dumbbell curl. If you find the whole muscle suit, all the muscles, even the ones in the face, participate. It wraps over up your neck, around your head, under your face. That, even if you're doing strict bicep curls, you'll find when you try and act, or you try and move from the standpoint of that suit being the only single unit that you have, everything, you'll find your form is correct. Even if you're doing strict presses. And so you'll find that like there's a certain weight where it's like easier, and then injuries and stuff is where the suit's not being recruited. You can just feel the suit's not there. So drop the weight down and figure out how to like Why is that spot turned off? Like if you're having shoulder pain, blah, 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 or anything like that, it's just like there's something huge and simple that you're overlooking in terms of just owning or inhabiting that part of the body with the muscular suit. And so that does have to be like amped up. The exercise has to be at the number of reps and number of intensities to actually get the, like your breathing becomes a little bit labored. The heart becomes a little bit labored. So as it's pushing, you feel that pressure connection to the muscles. And then that connection, I like, it's hard filming a video because I'd have to start like focusing and doing the workout and going hard. Once that heart connection is up, that's what you go and you pick up the heavy weights with. It's a fluidic strength, and it's like the muscle suit. It's parallel to it, but it's from the heart, and so it's all the blood vasculature is like the location of this. It's all around you, but it's in you, right? So you're in your consciousness. It's all around you, but it's in you. And so all around you is the same shape and pattern as it is in you. So you have this, you have the layer, you have the water in the muscles, the muscular layer, that's pushed on against by the blood vessel layer, the heart. So in terms of like, how is it that I'm floating in this thing? You're floating in the shape and the structure of your anatomy, if that makes sense. So once you warm up enough to find, like, once this starts moving enough, you go, oh, I noticed that. Once you notice it, you can go and do your 10-mile jog. Once you're in the heart, once you're in the fluid body and using everything, and that gets strong whatsoever, you can start doing ultra marathon stuff. You can start like that's where the magic powers come from. The low level physical magic powers is just from having the suit turn on, and then to try hard enough that you like notice where the heart is, and you try from there, and you try from the heart. And so every time you do your exercise or whatever, trying from the heart, the blood pressure goes up, the water washes over the body, you get maximized nutrient flows, everything in the body is hydrated, saturated with like what it needs, and so you get better and better and better and better and better. Like as you run, it saturates the mind, so you get all of these, oh, why does that exercise has all these health benefits? It's all from the heart coming up, and then the person pushing from the heart, saturating the body with blood. So it's rejuvenative, right? So the whole thing is just to find the exercise that lets you saturate your body with blood. So there's jogging, whatever, biking, anything kind of works like that. So learning how to fight, like whatever, and so it's all you get. Once the heart's going, I feel like I'm moving from an electrically charged fluid that's kind of connected to my muscles. It precedes my muscles. It's staying in this heart field is the flow state. And it's from there is like you're connected out into a more expansive consciousness. It's the state that you're in, like if you're on the field and you're like there, you're ready, you're aware, you're present. It's that. So that's the only thing. And people find, like, you can, all the sports, all the games, everything has been structured, everything has been created to give you an ample opportunity to notice what I'm talking about. All the games are based around doing activities with an opportunity to drop into the heart, and then having the game take place from the heart, and that's where it's really fun to watch and it's fun to do. And so there's nothing new under the sun. Like the warm-up structures, the way that yoga is done, all of that stuff is like it's pretty dialed in. The only way that it either works or doesn't work is if you don't notice what's going on. There's a lot of really stupid anatomy out there. There's a lot of anatomy based off of dissection of dead bodies instead of what what are you experientially working with and doing? Like, how does your consciousness connect to your body? How does it connect to yourself? Like, there's a lot of anatomy out there that doesn't even think. I don't know if there's a lot of like broken anatomy, and so when you use that broken anatomy, if you have false beliefs about the body, you can be doing these exercises, and it's either distracting or you. Like or the correct thing is so natural. This is so automatic. Like what I'm talking about is like so natural that if you're doing it, it's like this is kind of madness to think about. But if it's if it's lost, people just don't you whatever. So it's the simplest thing in the world because it's happening naturally. But the world has gotten so complex and so depressing that it can become difficult to remember just how important that connection to the heart is. And so people, like, you get these patterns of behavior that are like people on ellipticals, people that are targeting a part, right? And it's the same thing. You don't want to target a part any more than you want to, like in social problems, you go, oh, that's off. It's like, no, the whole, like everybody has to be working in such a way that that can be included. So it's like if you've got skinny arms or whatever, if you're like me, if you're like a twig, it's the whole thing has to work, and then it has to strongly include, the whole thing has to be including the biceps. The whole thing has to be including the legs or the torso or wherever's weak, or the back. Like I'm very front centered, so like my back is weak, and so it's hard for me to own my back, especially because the back is like so powerful. It's almost what does the owning. So if you've like neglected or fallen out of your back, it's like reclaiming an organ or a back or something like deep or behind is a very humbling process, because once it's reintegrated, it's in control. It's the thing that's supposed to be kind of leading. It's like rejecting a team captain if you have an organ problem. So there's a lot of like surrendering and stuff like that has to do when there's that type of healing. If the injury is like more periphery or shallow, when you reintegrate it, you kind of go, oh, hey, sweet, I got my ability back. But if you've lost something deep behind, one of the main chakras or an energy center or whatever, if those things get impacted, then when you reintegrate it, you go, oh, okay, I'm having like a personality breakdown or a crisis thing because my command center is like shifting places, shifting locations. So there'll be like a tremendous shift in identity. So that's one of the things actually that can prevent people, like once you get injured and if it's allowed to set in, like if you checked out and it sets in and you get an identity with the injury is normal, then to undo it, there's no way there's no way to undo it without it having like serious impacts on your personality and your your entire life. And those are also the deep and the kind of like the deep, profound healing opportunities, methods, or whatever. But that's mostly why there's avoidance towards healing, is just because yeah, I said it right. So there's that going on. So sometimes like some of this stuff, it'll make sense, and then it's like you might do it for like a year or two, and you won't get anywhere. It's often because there has to be an allowing of a big shift, and a lot of the times that sucks, and it's hard to let, and sometimes it'll force itself. But I think that's pretty much everything. Like you can do, you can play with like the weight. Like obviously, like if you have really heavy weights, it lets you. It makes it easier to push really hard into those muscles and to push the water deep into the body. So that shoving the water into the muscle suit is what causes the hypertrophy and the expansiveness when you get a pump. And so if you want to get bigger in a functional way, you have to lift a weight that's like heavy enough that the whole suit gets activated without you sending it to the moon or having to run a gazillion miles an hour. But like when you're actually looking at wellness, there's a big shift from like, oh, I don't want to. You're trying to figure out how to get the pump as easily as possible. Like if you're looking for training methods or wellness or whatever, you're looking for like what exercises lets me push the water in the deepest, and that's different from like which exercises do I maximally show off. Like sometimes there's a pinnacle and there's a meeting of like highest ability and highest like qigong, but for the most part, it's you're looking for things that aren't the things that are not interesting to look at are often the easiest ways to get a lot of gains in terms of like saturating the self or focusing on burning in the mind body connection, right? Like if I'm trying to just be like, oh, how do I connect this movement to my heart and to my blood? Like I don't want some movement where I'm like, oh, without thinking about the movement, I want to be able to just do a movement where I can focus on the connection with the entire muscle suit or connected in with my heart. Or are there other ways of doing it with the totality? Like where are the nerves? Right, so you can move the whole body from the nerves, and that's obviously like you can't exactly separate it from moving from the blood or moving from the muscles, but that's another totalizing way. And I wouldn't want to like just use my nerves or just use my heart. I would want to. It's part of the whole muscle suit. Like it's the muscle suit, it's the blood. It's the nerves, and so you can isolate each one of those as a part the same way that you can kind of isolate your arms, but it's a totalizing thing. And so a lot of the like, you know, obviously people are into horse stance, but it's just what's the posture that helps me engage my nerves? And then where am I not engaging? Where is my heart not pumping? Where are my nerves not like engaging? Where's the muscles? Where are the muscles not in consciousness or in water, right? In the body water. Like where is it not? And so to scan and look for where it's not, it's like the exercise is going to be very simple, kind of boring, kind of stupid. But then once you get the heart's there, the heart's definitely there in my hips, the heart's definitely there in my back, that's when all the flow routines and the weights and the high levels of athletic performance becomes possible. So if you're already a high performer or whatever, this is already happening. This is why you're good at what you're good at. But this is also something that should be happening everywhere. And like some places, it's like it's not appropriate to be amped up at athletic intensity, but you still need to be in your heart. Like if you're studying, because it's like you need to be able to feel all these patterns, even when you're at rest, all these patterns that are so interesting athletically, still interesting. Still absolutely vitally important that you're connected to all this as much as you are when you're doing your 10K. But yeah, that's it. Like it's just about the muscle pump. So use a weight to like obviously this intensity that I'm doing it for a demo in the video is probably like 1/10 what I would want to be doing if I was actually trying to get any like gains or progress. So I'm trying to use the weights with the entirety of all my muscles. And then I'm trying to pump I'm trying to push into all of the muscles with the blood. And using the muscles helps push the muscles, and pushing the muscles kind of also helps the nerves to fire. But I want to be doing this everywhere. Like, I don't want to have different parts to exercise. I want to be standing with everything. I want to move with everything, because it makes no sense to have anything disengaged in any movement. So it's like if I'm going to isolate something, it's really doing even more engagement. So you find the super repetitive thing that you could do, and it's like, okay, I want to make sure that my neck and my suboccipitals are super engaged with drawing my hand up. Like, it's no longer a bicep curl, it's just drawing the hand up. And then, okay, so shoulders, scapula back. I want those to draw my hand up. I want them to participate. And this is dumb, so I'm just using the whole thing. It's dumb to focus on anything. So So the same way that the weights put the muscles under tension, the movement of the muscles, the exertion, the trying, the effort, puts the heart under tension. So I pick up the weights, oh man, now I can feel my muscles. I move the muscles, oh man, now I can feel my heart. And it's the whole thing of finding the heart and entering into the heart. That's it. In the exercise makes this tremendously easy. That's why, like, proper exercise has all of these, what are like also seen as like spiritual benefits: increased mood, better vitality, better focus, like all of the things. Why is it? It's because it makes the heart obvious. But you, like, the way that this gets crazy is if a person can't see their heart outside of the exercise that they're doing. So they do the exercise, and then they are their expansive full self. Outside of the exercise, the heart turns off, and suddenly you've got like a personality problem, or like a fragmentation. It's just from the heart turning off. The not turning off, but like you not being able to notice it unless it's amped up to 10, because it's like if the focus starts becoming on the exercise, you stop paying attention to or connecting to the heart, and you start trying to gimmick it and be like, how much intensity and how much output and how much energy can I get out of the heart? And then that pressurizes the muscles, it maximizes the gains, but then there's the attention isn't on the heart's connection to the body, it's on manipulation of the heart to like get the body to do this thing, so that you're not even in the right location. You should be at the location of the heart grabbing the body, and then it's in this position of like psychopathic dominance over the heart. And then since you're not sensing the heart, then when the heart's not able to do that intensity because it's inappropriate, like, oh, you're not supposed to be playing your sport all the time, or you're not supposed to be doing your thing all the time that gives you the rush. Since you're not actually using it to get better at being in the heart and using the heart, then all of the abilities and the powers and everything goes away when the heart's not being spooled up by the psychotic driver of the mind. So it's a way to understand that mental component. If the mental component isn't present and there everywhere with the nerves feeling all this, then it is stuck up in the head trying to just get the heart into a situation where it will pressurize enough to be felt. Otherwise, the mind descends into the body like via the nervous system, and it's kind of like there, feeling the heart no matter what the heart is doing. So the mind can contract into a position of dominance to get the blood pressure to go up enough to where the fluidic system is seen and you're like aware, you're conscious, you're awake. Or if the mind relaxes and falls into the body, it can feel the heart and feel the situation and feel what needs to happen no matter what the heart is doing. And so the mind, it can shift from the problem to the thing that makes everything a solution.